When people think of the losses suffered when Titanic sank, everyone's mind immediately thinks of casualties from exposure to the cold, drowning, being crushed by a falling exhaust funnel, or being turned into a human pinwheel after jumping off the ship and hitting a propeller. For the record, I don't believe jumping off the ship and hitting a propeller would even be physically possible, but it is quite dramatic. However, what about those that survived and were hurt in the process? In this video, I will discuss some of the trauma endured by survivors. William Ward, a steward, testified that while he was standing by Lifeboat 9 while it was being loaded, quote, "There were several men in the boat then to assist in getting the women in. One woman had already fallen and hurt herself a little, a French lady. The purser told 2 more men to get in and assist these women down into the boat. From the rail of the boat it is quite a step down to the bottom of the boat, and in the dark they could not see where they were stepping." End quote. Captain Rostron of the Carpathia testified, quote, "There were several ladies in the boats. They were slightly injured about the arms and things of that kind." End quote. Rostron also described Harold Bride, quote, "Both his ankles and back are injured, although the last 2 days he was carried up in the Marconi operating room of the Carpathia to assist our operator all he could." End quote. In his book, Archibald Gracie wrote of Harold Bride, quote, "Bride himself suffered severely. Somebody sat on my legs," he says. "They were wedged in between slats and were being wrenched. When he reached the Carpathia, he was taken to the hospital and on our arrival in New York was carried ashore with his feet badly crushed and frostbitten." End quote. Bride also could not attend the first day of the American inquiry due to his injuries, which began on Friday, April 19th. Keep in mind, Titanic sank early Monday morning of that week. Fireman John Thompson unknowingly broke his arm while struggling to survive in the half-submerged and overloaded collapsible lifeboat A. Perhaps the cold had numbed the injury since he only noticed his arm was broken when trying to climb a rope to get to Carpathia. Steward Thomas Whiteley claimed he jumped from Titanic as it was sinking and landed on an object floating in the water and broke his leg. After Carpathia reached New York, he spent some time in St. Vincent's Hospital to recover. Lead stoker Barrett testified that when he was with engineers Harvey and Shepard in Boiler Room 5 trying to get the pumps activated, Shepard broke his leg. Harvey told Barrett to lift a manhole plate from the floor to gain access to the valves. The room was full of steam due to the fires being doused with water, and visibility was poor. Shepard was walking through the room and fell in the hole where the manhole plate was because he didn't see it had been lifted, and suffered the injury. This likely proved to be fatal, as it would be difficult or impossible to climb a ladder with a broken leg, which is what he would need to do to escape from the bowels of the ship. Boiler Room 5 would rapidly flood about 15 minutes after he broke his leg, and he was never seen again. Major Puchin testified, quote, "The quartermaster who was in charge of our boat told us to row as hard as we could to get away from this suction, and just as we got a short distance away, this stowaway made his appearance. He was an Italian by birth, I should think, who had a broken wrist or arm, and he was of no use to us to row." End quote. Frederick Fleet also stated this man had a bandage around his broken arm. Undoubtedly, many other minor injuries likely occurred in the chaos of the sinking. Perhaps the worst injury of many survivors was the emotional peril that likely haunted them for the rest of their lives. I may make videos detailing the psychological effects of the disaster in the future. Thanks for watching.